call it twofer.
Like animal over here on the drums.
Or tricky. Yes. And speaking of drums, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Taylor Hawkins passing away.
Oh.
Yeah, I was sad.
He was in Foo Fighters.
You don't know who Taylor Hawkins is?
Often don't know the names of the drummers.
Right, yeah. Like if she saw
It's the bass player.
You're probably like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
It's the bass player you're not supposed to know.
Oh come on, I know Nikki
Right.
Sixx. I know the bass player. I know Nikki Sixx.
Break down that bass.
So and the lyricist.
Yeah,
and the lyricist.
So Tricky's still here.
Tricky. It's tricky to rock on rock.
All right, we're going to have to come up with a new song. They're going to give us a copyright notice on that one.
I know. I'm going to get... Can you get in trouble for singing their song?
No, I don't think so.
And I do a really shitty rendition
It's
of
only
it.
a couple seconds. I think you have to play like more than 15 seconds of a song to like get in trouble or something.
Yeah. So, how was your journey over here? Did you avoid all those big potholes on the 40?
Oh my god!
I thought I fell through to China the other day. Like it looked
terrible.
I had to get out and check my car. Like it was bad.
I know.
It was bad.
And you have to. Sometimes you have to like. You're on one side of the lane, and then you have to dart over to the other side of the lane, like in your own lane, because there'll be like massive trenches over here. So then you're like, oh wait, they get a little better on this side, but here's a trench over. Like you're constantly weaving. Everybody has got to look like they're drunk driving down the road.
Better not pull me over for looking like I'm drunk, because I'm gonna point out about 15 potholes I had in miss.
I went to Flag a few weeks ago, and it was fucking nuts.
On the way to Flag, between here and Seligman, dude.
Boom. One of our friends went to Seligman this morning, and he said there was like 30 cars pulled over with flat tires.
Jesus.
I'd be so pissed.
What happened to our Build Back Better plan? Where is the fucking funding for that?
I know.
Where was the be great again? All the talk of infrastructure.
Yeah. And
let's make America great again.
Well, the asshole that represents us voted against it. I mean, it still passed, but, Gosar, his ass voted against it.
Of course he did.
I mean...
Well, come on, Buttigieg. Would you drive these highways for a second, please, Mr. Transportation?
Yeah, come check out the I-40.
Well, and I'm sure it's not.
I know you're dealing with some train wrecks, but could you drive our own highways for a second?
I know Kingman, Arizona, particularly has an issue in town with potholes and shit like that.
Yeah, but in town is our issue. The highways.
Well, no, yeah, the interstate, that's dangerous.
That's federal.
Right. Yeah, and we're traveling in this state 75 plus.
Right.
Like, come on, people. My tax dollars are going into that. I mean, your tax dollars.
Yeah.
Let's see some receipts. Government, I want to see some receipts as to where this tax money is being spent, because it is not on the roads.
No.
I know, and it's like, can we please stop?
Like, didn't we just have to pay an extra $285 per license registration for highway repair or something like that? Wasn't there?
I don't know.
Yeah. Registrations had gone up.
I don't know, but like, can we stop with the fucking deregulating on things? I mean, this is one of the problems.
The things that need it.
That's what I'm saying. We need regulations like this to make sure that our roads are consistently kept up.
Yeah,
that's what regulations should be doing, is providing a consistent stasis minimum level.
Well, did you see and Snow's not on Facebook, so you probably didn't see it. Like, we had 2 train derailments.
Right.
In Mojave County last week.
Topak?
Yeah, there's one out here by the airport.
And Topak.
And there's one in Topak.
I heard about the Topak one. I heard about the one out here.
Well, in the Topak one, everybody, of course.
Hazardous waste.
Exactly. Hazardous waste. And it's just like that one in Ohio and stuff like that. Oh, the train derailed. And the government is purposely derailing trains to put, hazardous waste into the air to kill us.
But it's corn
syrup. The government.
I thought that's that's
It was corn
the
syrup, yes.
chemtrails are
Okay, so
for.
stop putting
Wait.
corn syrup in all our food.
I thought that was what chemtrails were for. Yes, and that too. Like, why is corn syrup and everything? But I thought they
Sweetener.
poisoned us with chemtrails. What the fuck?
Why do you need the corn syrup
I know.
or the fluoride in the
I
water?
thought they people around
They
here
are like double
convinced.
dipping, dude.
They're
triple
convinced
dipping.
that it's chemtrails poisoning us. I mean, shit, we even had Kelly Ward what'd she run for? She ran for
State Senate?
yeah.
But the
And she's
fluoridation of
a
water is
fucking
crazy because fluoride
chemtrailer.
that they dump into public water systems was only added after God, his name just went on my head. The big fucking rich guy. He owned paper and aluminum factories, and the aluminum factory byproduct is what they call fluoride and what they dump in our water system.
Is it DuPont?
No, not
No,
DuPont.
DuPont's plastics.
Mr. Colgate?
No.
Has a hearse. Hearst.
Randolph Hearst?
Yes.
Okay.
Was heavy into both paper and aluminum.
Okay.
And what fluoride that people, it's not natural. Okay, because out at our ranch, we have naturally occurring fluoride in the rock formation of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
What they're pouring into water systems is not that.
Okay.
It's the byproduct. It's the toxic waste of an aluminum production company.
Nice.
And don't you think,
Right.
or
And what that's doing is it's
So
coating our
comforting.
penile gland. That's the big damage that it does to people. Is it puts a calcification around your penile gland. And what your penile gland is like supposedly your connection to like the universe. It's like
Okay.
where you get all your inspiration and your your just bursts of like knowing or whatever.
okay, so what you're saying is this is a direct
Hit.
affiliation to the mental health crisis that we have in this country.
Wait,
Full
they connect
circle.
circles and
Full
dots and
circle.
All right, you know how I said in the last episode that we can't solve any problems?
Apparently we can.
Apparently we just did.
We just need a few beers and a little bit of time. But that's the whole thing that's what I was getting at earlier with term limits. Instead of having a bunch of people who have from birth been told that they're going to sit in a boardroom someday and listen to a bunch of shit they don't care about, why don't you get real people in rooms and have real conversations? I think that's where the solutions lie, not in people who are bought and paid for by generations.
Why are you pointing at me for that?
Well, because you were saying something about lobbyists. Or no, it was you.
Lobbyists.
Bought and paid for by generations of these lobbyists have been in their family friends for fucking generations.
Because they want all the control, though. That's why
Right.
they set the shit up like this.
But that's why, and I'm not an anarchist. I'm too old for that, right? But I'm all about eating the rich. Like seriously, if this country needs a restart, we need to have a serious hard restart where the market falls the fuck out.
Okay. So just to keep this train on the tracks a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
you want me to do
No, not right. We're gonna get it.
train
Okay, train derailments and stuff like that. Now these train derailments are coming. The train workers, the people that work for the railroad, who are being overworked, they don't get days off. They warned us about this, and what they just wanted more. They wanted some more safety regulations on it, and they wanted time off. Now, if you overwork people, truck drivers, people that work on these railroads that don't get a day off, you're on call every day. I know railroad workers. You're on call every day. You can't plan vacations because technically you're on call. Okay? Don't you think that maybe that some of these accidents come from either failed brake parts because you deregulated the train systems, or an overtired worker who maybe didn't weld the track correctly in a certain area because they were just being worked to death on it?
Or a conductor who didn't make a switch because they fell asleep.
Yeah.
Well, they don't even have cabooses anymore. They got rid of those because they thought that was costing too much to have
A live human running
more.
a train.
Yeah, more workers going on that. But supposedly, I believe that the caboose is what helps trains not derail too. Like I think I've heard that before, like where
The anchor or something. I don't know.
yeah, something like that, where a caboose actually prevents stuff like that.
Well, but now it's come to that these trains are literally miles long, and you have to have another engine in the back to help push it along. So you have to have the one pulling in the front, but you also have to have it pushing from the back also.
Right.
And that's
which is just crazy because like I've just
and
had a relationship with a truck driver, and truckers are running all the time, holidays, night times. It does not matter. Trucks. So what are we moving through the nation in trains that isn't being moved by the trucks? Like what is going on? Like what is so that we have to have mile-long trains?
I think you need both. Well,
Yeah.
it's a consumerism of
There's so much
the Amazon
Americans buy. That, like,
Amazon has put
you need all of it.
yeah Amazon
You need the
has
shipyards. You need the boats. You need everything.
crazy.
and for people listening to this
How do
podcast,
countries like New Zealand exist?
Because they have a standard where they make and produce most of their stuff within country.
Because they're fucking smart.
Right.
They're self-sufficient. They really can exist by point. They can say "fuck you"
okay,
to the whole world and still survive.
They're like at a 90% rate or something of stuff that's completely made within their own system.
okay,
Yeah.
but we get back to
Because
shipping.
they care about their people?
The companies like Amazon and Walmart and all the online online business that we do now creates this need for more shipping.
Right.
Okay, so more shipping, you're going to need bigger. You're going to need more truck drivers. You're going to have to overwork these truck drivers. You're going to need more trains to carry this cargo to deliver it and put the mom and pop stores out of business.
What you got is a lot of these like major trucking companies have all the focus, like CTI, IWX, England. They have like government focus, like people are watching their books and their regulations and making sure their drivers are getting their stops. But you've got, for every one big guy that's traded on the stock market, you've got a dozen to a dozen and a half little guys who are like, fuck your regulations. I don't care if you stop for your break. Run this shit.
Thanks to deregulation.
And that's why you got crack
important.
and meth dealers at every fucking truck stop. Because these truckers are like, running hand logs, It's crazy. And it goes back to technology. Like, if we can walk around with a virtual computer in our hand, how can anybody get away with running 12, 14, 16 hours?
I know.
But the answer to that is just like we said. It's the corporations and corporate greed. Okay, take for inflation. Now, sometimes
I feel like my grandma at a store every
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't really realize it because sometimes it creeps up slowly. Other times you go, well, this is the corporations want to fuck us.
Was $3.50 last week, and it's $6 this.
I went to go get a bag of Doritos from my kids, at the local grocery store, and it was like $5.99. I'm like, $5.99
for one bag?
Yeah.
Remember, we could get 2 bags for $5.
I know.
Like, this is why I don't like to go shopping anymore. I seriously feel like my grandmother. When I see the sticker, I'm like, I remember when I could buy this for 99 cents,
Well,
it's coming out.
And that's it. And what they will do first off is they'll blame Biden for the higher gas prices, right?
Right.
Okay. And say what you will. Okay, the president doesn't control gas prices.
Okay.
But the gas prices go up.
Never heard of it.
Gas prices go up. They go up. They go up. Notice they're starting to go up again. And I say this every year. In March, they start to go up. Now, it'll peak at Memorial Day and then creep down a little bit.
Well, it's supply and demand. We are a capitalist society. We should get this shit, people. Like, the more people in their cars on the roads, the higher the demand is, which means less supply sitting around collecting dust. Which means the gas stations are going to raise their price.
That's why during COVID, the gas prices went down.
Hell yeah,
you
because nobody was
didn't
going
have
nowhere.
people- right, you didn't have people
Right.
out and about.
We had stores of gasoline. Gasoline stations were turning
couldn't-
deliveries away because they
couldn't
hadn't
give it
used
away. Yeah.
their last delivery yet.
Well, and the thing is, even if gas prices go back down to under
And they're fairly down right
something,
now.
no,
They're
they're going up again though.
They're creeping a little.
Okay.
They're creeping.
But here's the point: that bag of Doritos now is $5.99. That bag of Doritos is not going to go back down to $2.99 because they realize that they
People will
can
pay
save
$5.99.
$5.99 for it.
Right.
So they're going to continue to sell it no matter what the gas prices is.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to we were watching the Jon Stewart episode about inflation on it, and that's what they were talking about. And I recommend get the free trial of Apple Press, watch the Jon Stewart episodes because
Awesome.
it's just people on one side will he's this leftist. No, he explains it in a very
He's so intelligent. I got such a boner for Jon Stewart.
He's critical thinking
I
and
love
common sense.
He gets me like sapiosexual boner. Boom, Jon Stewart. Like the man's got a brain and he uses it.
The fact that if people want to label him either side of the aisle,
I could give a fuck if he was a conservative. I'd still like him.
You're not
logical.
listening to him if you're trying to label him as such. It's because when I watch him, I'm like, he talks common sense and critical thinking, and he gets to the common sense aspect by using the critical thinking.
The big fucking sin he made was sharing his opinion on 45. The connection is clear. The minute he started talking about his idea and opinion of 45 is when people started talking shit about him and being a leftist and a, liberal.
Well, those people are idiots, though. I mean, you have to, if that's all they can do, because, God forbid, you say something about their cult leader and they go into, mama bear mode or whatever the fuck it is.
Well,
it's that shows something, if you can't take criticism...
But see, we got our Jon Stewart people and we got our Tucker Carlson people. And I don't think the two ever meet in the middle.
Yeah. Well... Go back to inflation. He had a former chair of the Federal Reserve on, and that he was interviewing him, and he was just like,
"That's the crazy thing about our money is it's all fiat currency. There's nothing backing it."
Right. Well, that's another issue. But he was saying because there's low unemployment, that means this is he breaks it down. There's low unemployment, which means more people have income. More income means it contributes to inflation because companies can charge more because people have money now. Now people are willing to spend money, so it raises the price on it.
We still live in a society that people cannot support
but
themselves.
no,
with one
but
full-time
they
job.
get to that point. They make that point is wages don't keep up with inflation and all this other bullshit that goes along.
They haven't since the 70s.
Right. We have not had a cost of living increase for decades.
But what they say is what is going to curb inflation is you raise interest rates, so it's harder to get loans. Okay, no, he explains this really good, and I'm doing a poor job explaining it.
It basically keeps the whole us versus them dichotomy.
Exactly, because
the haves and the have-nots. Because those who can afford the interest rates don't need them.
Exactly. So higher interest rates, which means
entrepreneurialism.
Companies cannot afford to spend as much. So what are they going to do? They're going to cut workers because that's what they're going to do. You cut workers.
Raise unemployment.
You raise unemployment. Low unemployment is bad for the economy.
But see, what unemployment numbers, they never account for the underemployed. Mm-hmm. So those for myself, for example, I have a bachelor's degree and I almost took a job at the fuel island at Petro. Underemployed, right?
Right.
Or the never employed. Those who graduate from college and are like, I can't get a job in my field and I'll be damned if I'm going to work at McDonald's. Those unemployment numbers do not account for those two. Or the undocumented employed. Mm-hmm. So that it's just like the whole thing.
Well,
the system is broken, and it was designed to be broken. Like, the information we get is never actually factual or true because there's so many data slip holes and slides that the people can fall in, stick their information into that we don't even account for.
Well, I was watching a documentary on HBO, and it was about fake news, and they had a guy on, and he was right leaning, and he just said, "Well, it doesn't really matter if it's not happening because your perception is going to be your reality."
And unfortunately, it's from psychology and physiology. That is actually true. Like, we all have our filters of perception. We all take in. That's why you can have two eyewitnesses and their statements will be slightly different because perception filters, Somebody will catch that they were wearing a striped shirt and the other person will be like, no, it was striped with something else, because we filter everything through what we are able to see and process, and because of our own life experiences, our education, our psychology, our physiology, we all take in information differently, and we all process information from a self perspective. So we all put it through ourselves before we put it out.
Yeah, and what you want to believe to be true is, and then that comes from relationships, and I think we all guilty of this, is somebody can point out all the red flags that should be really visible to you, and your friends may try to warn you, but you're like, no, she's not that bad.
Once you get the lust chemical, the oxytocin and whatnot moving, you can't. I mean, I'm sorry, I can see the most logical, I can see it so clearly in y'all. Mm-hmm. But if I'm fucking them, it's over. And everybody can be like Trisha, and I can be like, yeah, I'm hearing it. It's making sense, but it don't matter because there's a disconnect between here and here. Right. And here.
Yeah, I think we've all been guilty of this. I think factually we would all, nobody's raising their hand. We all kind of like doing that look of shame, like, yeah, I've done that.
But the only thing we can do is, as humans, is try to do better than we did yesterday. So, as I re-enter the dating world, I'm trying to set standards for myself as far as one red flag and I'm not attached already, bounce, bro.
Although on that note, though, I would say, and I've said this to many friends, is after you get out of I won't say bad relationship, but a relationship where you're really, really, really into someone, that you really care about somebody, you need to take a little time to take a breather and go reset before you go out again, because otherwise it just never works out.
Right. And I agree with you. I don't think anybody should be getting any kind of emotional attachments very soon after a relationship. But some relationships have been ending for a while, and you just get to a point where you're like, I just need to know I'm still alive. I just need to know that I'm still alive. So you go out there and kind of put your toe in the water and be like, okay, I still feel that water, I'm good for a second, and that's where I'm kind of at. It's not like I'm actually pursuing any kind of relationship. It's just do I still got it? Do I still got it? Okay. So according to these people, I do. Right on.
Yeah, and sometimes, and again, guilty. Have I done that? That you just hook up with somebody immediately afterwards, just be like, okay, just
Well, they tell you the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. I've never been that girl, but hey, maybe that's where I've been going wrong. Right? And I saw something on TikTok. We were talking about TikTok earlier. I saw something on TikTok where they were saying, I was literally so committed to this person for X amount of time, and they did this, and this. So if you see me out there acting feral, fucking ignore it.
Don't mind me. I saw since this one is leaning a little bit more political, Donald Trump was in Waco, Texas yesterday, and because he's on his greatest hits tour.
He's like calling all you racists.
Okay, exactly. Like, how do you pick
Calling
all the stops in America?
I know.
Calling all
Waco
you extreme anti-government.
This is my first night tour.
Hey, and Snow, I know, like, when we see Springsteen, you and the mom wished he would have put
Tulsa.
He would have. Springsteen would have done a bit more of his greatest hits, right?
Right.
But he wanted to play a little bit of his new music because Bruce Springsteen mixed it up. Trump, no, he kind of just stick to his greatest hits. The greatest hits tour, like a lot of washed up people do.
I understand when people are like, "He's not racist." I'm like, "Dude, do you not remember the fucking center page
it
spread
goes
on Central Park Five?
Okay.
Or how about not renting to any people of color? Like,
so you go from He does this rally where he's the victim and stuff like that, and the whole system is against him.
They're trying to get rid of us.
the deep
January
state.
6th.
They're trying to lock us up.
But the strange thing is,
Please, Jesus, if there's any justice in this fucking world.
and again, I don't get why. Well, actually, before I get to the Waco part of it, like, we thought that Trump would have been indicted last week. We all believed the hype, the news.
Put out by him.
By him.
He said that he was going to be on the previous Saturday. He had said, I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday. He's going to be indicted and arrested and whatnot. And the thing about that is the grand jury that would be indicting him doesn't even ever meet on Tuesdays. They're not in session on a Tuesday.
And this is where I have a problem with mainstream media. Is the mainstream media did not say that.
No, of course not.
I know.
They want the hype. The facts in that case would have killed the story.
They go out with the story, Trump might be arrested on Tuesday. Of course, because that's what people are going to listen to.
So I don't have much respect for most journalists. Like, I really don't. Because most of them are just playing to their audience.
I know. Somebody should have called him out and said,
very
and
few
made him
journalists
look stupid.
with any integrity anymore. Like, the last ones that I can point to are the ones with the Me Too movement, the She Said movement. Like, those ladies, like, dug their teeth in, risked to themselves, their safety, their families, and got into that story and wouldn't give up no matter how much resistance. But most journalists now are like, my story is not going to make it if it doesn't pass editors. And the editors are in the pockets of the people with power.
And the saddest thing is, too, about, even aside from, like, the journalists and the media doing that, damn good and well that the reason he sat there and said, I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday was, like,
to hype up the
Send
people.
me money. Send me money. I'm going to need bail money to get out, and so I need y'all to reach
all
in your
of these
pockets.
people who worship
And
him
they
as
do
the
it.
fucking
They do
golden
it, yeah.
calf. The first thing they say about why he makes such a good candidate is he's such a great businessman. Great businessmen do not need to beg.
They don't
money.
need to swindle their...
This man has fucking failed how many businesses?
Yeah, but that's
bankrupted how many businesses?
That's what it makes him quote
He
unquote
doesn't even
a bad
have a
businessman.
gambling
No,
license
he makes him.
Or...
Atlantic City.
City.
How hard
Okay.
is it to lose that?
Okay, wait.
Real hard.
But he is a quote unquote great businessman, and part of it that
Because
is
he
smart.
fucking was born in
No,
money?
because he's swindling his rubes to pay his legal bills instead of spending his own money.
Okay, so why don't we just call it like it is? He ain't a great businessman. He's a phenomenal narcissist with a sociopathic tendency.
And an excellent manipulator. The guy excels at manipulation. Like his
and this is the thing,
called
is, like,
The Art of the Deal. I'm always like, it should be called The Art of the Manipulation.
Have you noticed how much more talk we have about narcissistic abuse and narcissistic and narcs and whatnot and not? But if you take a room full of our Fortune 500 CEOs, you would be hard to find a few that weren't narcissists. It takes a certain type of person to swim with the sharks.
Right.
But we laud those types of people we hold them up and make them fucking presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
But then we have the Marianne Williamsons that we laugh at because, okay, it's kind of hokey and touchy-feely, but shit, this woman actually cares about the human beings in this country, not the bottom line.
Yeah, no, I you know what, I like her. I think she's
a little touchy-feely for me, but it's because I recognize that what we're working with. It's not because she wouldn't, she doesn't make me feel good. She does. I'm like, hell yeah, babe, if I could get behind you and push you into office, this country would be better in 4 years.
But why wouldn't that work out? Because the corporations who pay off our politicians can't buy her.
Right.
So, and then...
Same with Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie.
And that's why the corporate media is not going to get behind that person to promote that person.
Right.
On it. And this all falls in together. But it's just ironic Trump chose Waco.
It's so gross.
To do
it's not ironic, it's disgusting.
Did you watch
I know, I haven't had the chance.
Okay. So
it's gross.
if you watch it and they explain the whole cult thing and whatnot, and there's still some of the people
Branch Davidians.
The Branch Davidians. I mean, it's named after Davidians.
David
Idians. Yeah. So if you watch
obviously
it, there are still some of the people who are the Branch Davidians survivors who are still deeply
entrenched in their beliefs.
Enthralled, and they still are to this day. What I found interesting about this documentary was the government, the FBI agents that were involved and whatnot, they will admit to their wrongdoing. They've said, you know what, we didn't do that right. We didn't do when the first day when they started the siege or whatnot. See, they were tipped off by it was a UPS driver that said that there was, and so he said that there was grenades that had fallen out of this box. Okay. So that they had illegal weapons was what they were getting delivered to them over and over and over again. So of course UPS got a hold of the government and they were going to go in and serve with a search warrant. They had search warrants and everything. The day they went to go do that, I think they couldn't find the compound, so they asked a mailman that they had ran into where the compound is. Well, he happened to be a Branch Davidian, so he let them know what happened. So when they got there, it turned into a shooting fest, and I think 4 agents died that day, and then a few other people. Maybe a few other people had died too, or maybe it was just the agents that died that day, and then the standoff took place, and it took place for 52 days or whatever. But yeah, that's what I found crazy was I'm all right. But now when I'm watching this documentary and the agents who were involved back then are sitting there admitting their wrongdoing. You didn't hear that from the side of the cult. You never heard them say that anything that they did was wrong.
Because they didn't believe they were wrong.
Right, they didn't believe they were wrong, but they've got tapes, because the other thing that was a big, huge who did it was who started the fire on the. They have David Koresh on a taped line talking about where the explosives were and where the hay was in order to light this fire.
Right, but I know somebody personally who watched a VHS that Timothy McVeigh brought to his trailer here in Kingman, right, where it showed FBI agents starting fires. So whether Koresh gave somebody in the FBI the information as to where to start the fire or what, I mean they had, and that's supposedly why McVeigh went to. Crazy, that's what said. I mean, he was already disenfranchised.
Said he wasn't coming out. He already said he wasn't going to come out. He was, and the thing that pisses me off about him was I'm
which one, McVeigh or Koresh?
David Koresh? I'm if you kept sitting there trying to say, like, let the women and children go, and you're the one that fucking lit that fire, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
You should have insisted that they got out. Fine if you want to, like, stay in there and die.
That's what I'm saying is there's some kind of, like, disconnect between even this documentary and, like, the VHS that supposedly McVeigh was carrying around showing people here in Kingman, you know, which is what he's, like, was so, and why he chose that date to do Oklahoma City was he was fucking pissed about Waco.
Yeah, well, like, because he took completely the side that the government had no right to do what they did, which that's what I'm saying. They admitted to what some of the tactics they used was wrong. Mm-hmm. They admitted to it. Mm-hmm. There's no admission. Like, you'll have to watch the documentary.
And there never will be because
there's no admission on their side that anything
they swallowed
was
the
wrong.
Kool-Aid.
Right.
Completely.
Even the fact, like, none of them even afterwards said, okay, we now believe that he was not a prophet nor the second coming of Christ.
Right.
Which is what he convinced these people that he was. Right. And so, this is what I'm going to say, too. That's another fact, how I know that David Koresh was full of shit, because if there was one human being that was actually the reincarnation, don't y'all think that it would be Dolly Parton? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am sorry, but how in the fuck would it ever be David Koresh over Dolly Parton? I don't believe it.
Penis. A penis.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, it would be Dolly Parton.
You know it has to be a white guy. It has to be.
Why?
Oh, David Koresh?
No, the Savior has to be a white guy because Jesus Christ was a white guy.
He was not white, people.
No, but American Jesus was, okay?
Yes.
American Jesus, American Republican Jesus.
Although I think people are coming
and
around.
Blue eyes.
No,
No, I could not find a black Santa.
No.
In the whole county.
People are coming around though, because their Savior doesn't have to be white anymore. He could be like orange tinged.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we are getting more diversity out there.
God.
But what the exact thing with Waco is, it sounds eerily familiar with the cult that Trump's followers are in.
Trust me, when you watch it, you're like,
who are we talking about?
I know people like this. You know, it doesn't have to do necessarily with the religion thing. Well, there is an aspect of the religion in there because a lot of them are like so-called Christians, but they're more of like the evangelicals, you know, which are
we so like
false Christians.
We just keep getting more and more like stuff like this too, and the fact is, like, I was just talking the other day with somebody about, like, they said something about the Constitution. I'm like, oh, you mean the Constitution that still doesn't protect me? You know, like, hello, right? Women.
Right, because I'm a woman,
we
right?
keep getting our rights stripped. We no longer can even have reproductive rights.
Right. You know, do you think if like the people that wrote the Constitution would come back today and realize the situation that we're in, they're like, why are you still following this document to a T?
It's supposed to be a living document. It's supposed to live,
right.
Which it's not supposed to be static. It's supposed to be dynamic. It's supposed to expand and contract as our needs
literally supposed to be progressive.
Right.
And as progression. Yeah. And as we move along, we follow it to a T. And then in the last episode, we were talking about guns again. Don't have a problem with guns. But it says well-regulated militia. Now, those few words can mean totally different. To me, well-regulated militia is a militia that has regulations to it.
And why are those people, if they're always screaming about well-regulated militia, why are they the same ones who are against regulations and other things? Like, they're fucking against regulation. No, we have to let businesses do whatever the fuck they want. You know, I don't get it.
And again, but they overturned Roe versus Wade, which was an interpretation of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Which amendment was it that they said no? They And I think even Ginsburg questioned the interpretation of why it was overturned.
Right. I'm not so sure. I don't think that that abortion rights are actually in any of the.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
Right.
Abortion is not in the Constitution.
Right. So,
but there is in one of the amendment. There's the way you would interpret it. You can apply it to abortion.
Okay.
Was it the 14th Amendment where we're all
I think
not
it was
slaves?
14th. No.
Was it like the 19th?
You know, and speaking of which, the 14th Amendment, if we're following the Constitution, then why are we fucking all slaves? We are slaves to our fucking jobs. You know?
Yeah,
anybody who's in the military or in jail?
Yeah,
if you're in the military or in jail, you are not a human. You are a number. And literally, that's the problem with it. That's why they have a problem with abortion, is because it eliminates taxpayers. It's not because they care about the human being, because if that was the case, we would have more support in food stamps, health care, foster care, education. Like, if we cared about people, we would have support systems to support the unwanted people as they come up.
They want more taxpayers so that they don't have to pay the goddamn taxes.
Well,
I mean, that's what it is.
And
look, we need you to breed so that we got people.
And that's why they're stripping education, because the less educated we are, the more breeding we are.
Right?
Yep.
The less education we have, the more fucking kids we make.
Right?
Just look at our county.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the joke is she's a Kingman 10 if she's got 4 teeth and 6 kids. You know? Like, it's, like, there's a thing. Like, and we talk about the system being broken, but it is broken by design. It's working exactly as they designed it to.
Right. Because you've got the, as Bernie would say, you have the 2% that are up there, and it's true. Those 2% don't want us to rise up. The American dream, it's a farce. It's a farce. You can't come.
We can't even support ourselves in a 1-bedroom apartment.
You cannot. Well, you can't say cannot. You can if you're.
You can't on a regular full-time job.
No. You can if you're a phenomenal athlete. You can bring yourself up.
What do they call that? The what is it? The miracle.
No.
Negro.
Okay, being a professional athlete, you have a higher percentage rate of being struck by lightning than you are to becoming a professional athlete.
Right. And here's the thing, the professional athletes are taken from a young age and pushed through the systems. They are not, their education means nothing. Pass them because they've got to play. Like, so these people are now dependent on their role, because the minute that they get hurt or like Kaepernick pissed somebody off.
Yeah, those contracts aren't binding. You said a 10-year contract. If you get hurt, then they say, nope, contract's void.
Or if you piss them off, like Kaepernick.
Yeah.
He was basically blacklisted. He was the best quarterback in the league at the time.
Not at that time. A couple years sooner or previous, yes. But then once they started to figure out what he was doing, because he was unique. Mm-hmm. He was very unique in what he could do. But once they started figuring him out, no, he wasn't an elite. He was still good, but he wasn't elite.
Right, but they bitched him because he had the fucking balls to say, I'm not going to put my hand on my chest for an anthem that was basically written to hold my people back. You know?
Right, and that protest, though, had nothing to do with disrespecting the flag,
no.
that's the argument. Oh, he's disrespecting. No, but he's...
And I'm going to say it.
What
it goes from the flag to first responders to like...
Right, but no, what he was just trying to raise awareness to the
words,
the injustice.
Of the anthem.
But I don't think he necessarily thought it out. That I'm not inside Colin Kaepernick's head. I don't think he thought that far ahead of it. I think he was just making a statement where
this country ain't
I'm just going to kneel down because a veteran told him. that is
More respectful.
more respectful than just
Than
sitting for it.
standing or
Right.
not putting your
So
hand on your heart.
I'm going to kneel for this anthem to just raise awareness for this issue that yes, there's more violence against black people by cops. We're not saying that cops don't also shoot white people. That's not what we're saying.
Coming to Kingman.
Well, I don't think a lot. That's a whole nother argument.
We've had so many officer-involved shootings in the past 5 years.
Huh.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't know that.
again, yeah. And then you have another department, and not a lot of the local department that investigates it, but they all protect their own. What I guess.
Blue is deeper than color of skin.
Yeah,
that's for real.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I don't even think we could get into that. On that'd be a whole show
Oh shit.
on that. And anyway, so how did we get in Colin Kaepernick? How did we go off roading to get to him
I don't know.
on it?
I was in the bathroom.
That was a minute ago.
Yeah. So we got to Colin Kaepernick somehow on this because we were talking about Waco. Now, let's see if I can pull all the fucking pieces together here. Now I got to go back and re-listen to this episode to see how we got to Colin Kaepernick.
Right?
I don't know. Just we're talking about how an athlete
Oh,
to
you have
to
a- yeah,
to rise to rise
amazing.
up to being rich is you have to be a percentage that is lower than getting hit by lightning to become a professional athlete to get yourself out of this situation.
And I think we probably brought on Kaepernick because then I probably said something like, "Don't you dare have a fucking personality or an opinion."
and whether like him or hate him, I think Mark Zuckerberg is the same thing. Mark Zuckerberg wasn't born into being rich. He just stole this idea of these who's hotter.
Hot or
not, and then you just manipulate it into Facebook, and then you steal more ideas, and you get sleazy and create the monster that Facebook is now. Even though we use Facebook as a platform to promote this podcast, don't kick us off, Mark. Yeah, it's just this cycle that people aren't not going to get out of this situation, and that's why with inflation, you need higher unemployment to lower interest rates. Okay, but that's keeping the poor,
The gap,
and
the wealth gap.
what Jon Stewart was trying to say on it is, well, how come the salary of the CEO keeps on going up and up? How about cutting that? Wouldn't that help? And the head of the Fed would not commit to that. He would not commit to that.
Because they're all on the same side.
Yeah. Even though Jon Stewart he tried so hard to the point where I think that was massive seeing Jon Stewart trying to, get the guy just admit it. Wouldn't that help also? And he wouldn't. And you could tell the guy was lying.
Because it would help, but it will take away from rich people.
Well, it goes
and
back
they
to
don't wanna
the
do that.
$5.99 bag of
They
Doritos.
don't
Once
wanna
you
do that.
get to a certain point, nobody wants to go backwards.
Mhm.
Who's
I
ever
forgot
going to
now.
take a voluntary salary cut
Yeah,
to benefit the best for others that they don't even fucking know?
but if
Yeah, they don't care.
But if you're earning $350 million a year, a $5.99 bag of Doritos, you don't fucking care about
No,
that.
Hell no. Give me a fucking shipment of them so I don't have to go to the store.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it just all is this vicious cycle that's fueled by the same corporations who
And
sponsor the media that keeps
telling
us
we
fighting.
need what the people in the 2% have.
Right.
These
And
commercials-
and on that CNN news break or Fox News break, you'll have a Doritos commercial, and you're like, those look delicious.
right.
I'm feeling depressed now. I think I need a bag of chips.
At least one bag.
Yeah.
I might need like 10 because I might want to be the next whale.
So, see, this is how we're doing. We said in the last podcast that we can't solve anything, and we fucking figured it out. But no one else,
Nobody will listen to the people's.
well, nobody listens to this podcast.
They say
Taking
that
ass and taking names.
this is a country
And no one's hearing us.
Yeah.
for and by the people, but it ain't.
You know why?
No. for, and by the corporation.
You know why?
It changed in the 50s?
And do you know why no one listens to this podcast? It's because Mark Zuckerberg is holding us back. He doesn't want people to listen to this podcast because we speak the truth.
I thought it was
much like Alex Jones.
I thought it was going to be because
don't compare us.
We don't worship at the golden calf.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we got to wrap this one up.
It's been fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fun. And this is like therapy.
It's always a good time.
All right. So until next week.
Reality redemption.
Reality redemption. You can find us on Spotify.
Yes, you can.
Apple Podcasts. Google Podcasts. iHeartRadio. Facebook did away with that podcast thing, I think. I believe.
Is it Pandora?
So you can find us on all these big corporate entities.
Platform.
Okay? Please listen. Please follow. And hey, sponsors, Doritos. Please.
We're talking to you.
Sponsor.
Like the
Sponsor us.
Poncho.
And you know what? Even though those Doritos were $5.99, Doritos or Frito-Lay. Does Frito-Lay own Doritos? Or Lay's?
I don't know.
Or whoever owns. I still bought them. So there you go.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye y'all.